Well, boils and ghouls, it's your old pal, John Kassir, the voice of the Crypt Keeper. And I want to welcome my good fiends of the Horror Heals podcast. Is horror good for mental wellness? But of course it is. I delight in the delicious deaths of pitiful people on the silver screen. So get ready for a hell of a good time with my new fiends, Corey and Kendall, on the Horror Heals podcast.
Today's guest proves that horror doesn't just give you goosebumps, sometimes it gives you purpose.
That's right. On this episode of Horror Heals, we're chatting with Andy Grant, zombie performer, spiritual adventurer, and host of the Real Men Feel podcast.
Andy's path took him from haunted hayrides to healing light activations, and somewhere between cheerleaders versus redneck zombies and Hereditary, he discovered horror as both a thrill and a form of emotional release.
Also, can we just say, I spent one night as a zombie and needed a week to recover. Andy, 16 nights in full zombie gear, fog, and surrounded by 20-something ghouls.
You know, the true horror might be working with Gen Z.
True. We talk about everything from growing up with Creature Double Feature and watching Jaws way too young, to how horror can help you feel seen, even when what you're seeing is hiding in the corner, like in Hereditary.
Andy also shares his experience with the Modern Mystery School, energy healing, spiritual growth, and why watching a hockey fight on TV felt more disturbing than Smile.
You'll hear about light activation, ancient mystery schools, Doctor Strange, and yes, his favorite final person from The Walking Dead. Spoiler, it's not a cheerleader.
Let's get into it. This episode is wild, a little spooky, and a whole lot of healing.
Andy, welcome to Horror Heals.
Thanks. It's my pleasure to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you. We know Andy from the New England Podcasters group. Really excellent collection of people who are so helpful as we kind of navigate this world of podcasting. So I spent one night as a zombie in a haunted attraction. Between the makeup and all the zombie screaming and the fake fog for 8 hours, I was done after one day. But can you talk a little bit about your experience as a zombie?
Yeah, I loved it. So I've been a zombie in an indie film, and I think that was like way back 2007. That let me check it off my bucket list. And then in 2012, I was a zombie in a web series. It's no longer available anywhere, but it was Cheerleaders versus Redneck Zombies. And then this past Halloween, I was a zombie at an attraction in Massachusetts called Witches Woods. And I did it, I think I was fully made up 16 different nights for the season. I had been laid off earlier in the year. I could not get a job being a middle-aged guy in my 50s. No one cared. No high-tech jobs were touching me at all. The only interview I could even get was to be a part-time minimum wage zombie. And it was the job I took. And I was glad to have the time to be able to do it. Yeah, the fog is there, but it never got so cold. It was a haunted hayride, and the zombies are the kind of the last thing to get you. And every other zombie was like 20, 22 years old. So it was a very interesting experience. But yeah, they're just such a blast. That immediate reaction of getting someone to jump or to be afraid, or if someone's being all stoic, I would try to get a laugh out of them. So getting a reaction from anybody just made that all worth it.
Very cool. Very cool. Can you talk a little bit about your history with horror in general?
I've loved horror films ever since I was a kid. Growing up in the Boston area, pre-cable, Channel 56 had Creature Double Feature every Saturday, and that was usually me and friends doing sleepovers and everybody watching the old black and white monster movies. So from then on, I was hooked. Even what I call one of the first horror movies I would say is Jaws. My dad took me to see that when I was way too young, and my mom was horrified, and I had nightmares, and I was like, I like nightmares. This is great. But I was a really depressed and at times suicidal kid as well. So I loved all movies. I liked to hide out in the theater. I loved anything that would fill my brain with something beside my own shitty thoughts.
Gotcha. So can you talk a little bit about how you feel about our theme that horror is good for mental wellness?
I get it. And I also experienced kind of the opposite. As I've gotten older and healed, I find that there's certain horror movies that they stick with me. They bother me more than they ever used to, especially kind of I can't watch the torture porn genre, just the slash for no reason. I just can't stomach it anymore. It really upsets me. I feel it viscerally. It's really weird. And I used to like, as a teenager in 20s, whatever, yeah, hack them up more. The bloodier, the better. But as I've matured in multiple ways, that's gotten tougher. I remember Hereditary was the first movie that just stuck with me and bugged me for like days after I saw it. And I was like, oh my God. And I kind of want to watch it again to see if it still has any impact. But then I'm like, I don't want to ruin that had an impact for so long on me too. But I think that anything that allows you to feel, to express, and again, it can be what you see in a horror film connect with you and you feel, oh, I'm not alone. Like this isn't as horrible as I made it out to be. And also an emotional experience gets you out of your own bad rumination. So yeah, I think that anything that can be healing and a distraction, it can be all those things.
Well, spoiler alert, Hereditary will still stick with you. I just rewatched it a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, that's probably like third or fourth time I've watched it.
Yeah, because I'm in a Hermetic lineage, the modern mystery school, that creepy ending. I still remember I was alone in the theater watching that. And one scene at the end, is that something moving in the corner? Has that been there a long time? It is something. Wow, has that been there all day? And I just remember the creepy dread of that scene was amazing. Yeah. I felt Toni Collette got robbed for not getting an Oscar nom.
Oh.
So what was it that changed in your life, or what was that you think of the healing that got you to where you didn't want to watch the torture porn stuff anymore? It just wasn't for you.
So I'm an initiate in the modern mystery school, and the initiation truly changes your energetic structure. It adds more. There's a healing called the life activation that I do with people, and that brings more light into your physical body and connects you to your divine purpose, and that just feels good. But when I went to Healers Academy to learn how to do that, that was a week long. So I got this healing like 5 times during the week and gave it 5 times, and just this really high vibe. Energy is rising. I'm probably the most clear energetically in my life. I remember landing, the plane landed back in Boston. I did not recognize the city. I thought it was like in Vegas. Everything seemed extra bright and neon-y. And like, where am I? And music was amazing. Everything was amazing. I got home. My wife had a hockey game on, and there was a fight. And I was repulsed by this fight in the hockey game. And I was like, oh my God, how long this is going to be weird to navigate life. Like, how long am I going to feel this, like, this high, really? And yeah, Hereditary was out pretty recently after that. I think like a few months after that I went to that. Again, interested, heard great reviews, and I was just shocked how it stuck with me. What else? And Smile. Everyone sees Smile. Oh, I don't want to look at him in the face. I couldn't. Like, it took like an hour, and I had to go, I'm doing cleansing and rituals and bringing in other energy before I could look someone in the face and not feel like, oh my God, if they smile, I'm going to deck them.
What drew you to that organization in the first place?
Oh, wow. I do not recommend my path. My path to spiritual and personal growth was via multiple suicide attempts. And it took me, and no one should have to do this, but it took me multiple attempts to accept that maybe the possibility, the glimmer of hope that I'm supposed to be here. I did a lot of 20s and 30s, got into personal growth and metaphysics, and just one thing led to another. And I've been working as an energy coach since 2010. And in 2016, I met someone, oh, you're going to meet this other person. Gee, there's a thing called life activation. And I'm like, oh, sounds good. I like new experiences. I'll try anything. And I'm receiving this life activation. And during it, I remember thinking, I don't know what's happening, but I know I'm going to learn how to do this. And I did. And it was, I always knew I was being called to do something for men, didn't know what that meant. 3 weeks after this life activation healing, Real Men Feel was created and launched. So, and then that same year, I went on to Healers Academy. I was just full on. Everything I do with clients is something that I learned to truly save my life. And other things along the path didn't work, and I don't recommend them. I actually spent a year as a Scientologist, and that was not good at all. There were some fine people there, but that was overall a really negative experience, left me feeling worse than when I started. So yeah, it's everything I've been through, self-help, personal growth has brought me to the mystery school, and it's been the most powerful tools that I've ever encountered.
That's amazing. I don't even know if we'll keep this in, but we joke in our household that I'm a recovering Southern Baptist. And that was in many ways a very negative experience for me.
Yeah, and that's why I love horror films that are rooted in ancient mythology or some sort of cult. And what did I just see? The Viking Nordic thing. It's a Danish movie. It was on Amazon Prime, and it turns out, let's just like a vacation. This family goes to some Norwegian island, and it sets up very traditionally, and then it twists, and it becomes like a crazy comedy like halfway through.
Yes, I recently watched that one with Nick Frost. Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you understood that you needed to find something to get you out of this path of wanting to end your life. Like you were conscious of that, that you were willing to try a lot of different stuff to get to a better place.
Yeah, like I always was naturally good in school, but this was a lesson that I took, again, multiple times. I had to accept that, all right, well, I'm not good at living. I'm not good at dying. There's got to be something else. And back when I was 19 years old, I had this first experience of really hearing another presence. And I wasn't my usual voice of everything sucks, you should kill yourself. It wasn't that critic, that angry demon in my head. It was this softer thing of, Andy, if you share your story, all the pain will be worth it. And I was like, shit, that was scarier than a horror movie. I'm having this experience of something else. I thought all horror movies and possession movies and all those things, I thought it was all just fantasy, which is why I liked it.
So knowing that, as you imagine, movies were an escape for you, when you first found out about the mystery school, were you sort of like leery? What is this real? What are these people doing?
I trust my experience, and I had an experience in that life activation. So I don't know what it is, but it's real. I feel different. I had never done this before in my life, but because I wasn't sure what it was, I did a before video in my car before the healing, and I did an after video after it. And now I do that for lots of different things. But I was inspired to do that, and then my after video, I'm just laughing. It's like I'm on something. I'm just like, I'm trying to explain how good I feel, and I just giggle, and it's just... That was not my state for hours and days or anything, but it brought me just light into my physical experience that I had not experienced since I was a child or possibly ever in this form. And the school, some of the teaching, some of the classes will use horror movies because it is light and dark, and there's good and evil. And it's... One of my teachers will talk about how it's okay to say, oh, I see Jesus, I talk to Jesus. But if you say, oh, I talk to demons, I see demons over there, people, oh, you're crazy, get out of here. And you can't have one or the other. If you believe in angels and God, you got to believe in the other side too. And because this is a world of duality.
Can you describe what the experience was like and what was actually happening when you were going through the light, getting the light?
So it's a long, it's 90 minutes long, and there's lots of different clearings. And sometimes I would feel things. I could tell that, I felt lighter. I felt energy moving. Like, that wasn't me. Some things that aren't me are like falling away. And then the kind of the last portion, it's all sorts of different protocols all brought together. And at the very end is truly, I don't have it in front of me. I have a magic wand, and I'm in the back. So they had it. It's the back of my head, a rock and a stick, and it puts more light into these 12 areas along my energetic structure. And I felt it, and what is happening? I felt this rush of just energy into me that was completely foreign, but felt really good. It felt natural. It felt like me coming back into me. But, everyone I've done this for since then, everyone describes it a little differently, but every single person has noticed something happening.
So there are physical aspects to it.
Yeah, but can't be done online. It can only be done in person. It can only be taught that way, too. You can't just go get the Modern Mystery School book and watch on YouTube. It's a Hermetic lineage, which goes back 3,500 years to King Solomon's temple. King Solomon gathered all the different shamans, teachers, and ritual masters of the day. And for 40 years, they taught each other things. The healings that impacted everybody positively became the foundation of the mystery school. So what's now called life activation came from all these different traditions and brought together clearings, healings, and bringing more light into somebody.
Very cool.
And people in the organization, are they from all walks of life?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's global. The North American headquarters is in Toronto, but there's a big presence in Brazil, in Japan, in the UK. Yeah, there were and are 7 ancient mystery schools. This is the only one that's open to the public. It opened to the public in 1997. But I remember growing up, like I had heard of mystery schools as a kid. I think it was from In Search of or something. And I just thought, the 7 ancient mystery schools, oh, they're ancient, they're gone. But they're all still here. And that's why I love Doctor Strange has become my favorite Marvel character, because he goes into a mystery school. That's how he learned the mystical arts. If people watched you, you had to be invited. It was very secret. But now the modern mystery school, we call him Founder Goodney because he was the leader at the time it opened to the public, though it was founded 300 years ago. He's an Icelandic man now living in Japan, trained in the Kabbalah by Orthodox Jews. He was a roommate of David Bowie in London in the 70s. Like, he just has the most amazing experiences in life. And through all of his experiences brought together and got this message that you need to open this to the public now. Like, everybody needs to be able to access these tools.
Yeah, it's funny. I grew up Southern Baptist, and we knew about the mystery schools, but we were never taught that they were still in existence. So it was an interesting concept for me to learn as an adult when I escaped from the Baptist rhetoric.
Yeah. Like one of the Bible doesn't have anything. There's no coverage of Jesus from birth till like he's 30 again, right? Mm-hmm. So the mystery school says the 3 wise men were leaders of 3 mystery schools who came to see the being that they were told was coming, and that he went to all the mystery schools. They're high in the mountains of Tibet. There are supposedly ancient tapestries and murals depicting Jesus being there, being trained, working with the ritual masters and teachers of the Tibetan mystery school, but then the Egyptian mystery school as well. Yeah, that's one of the things that draws me into it as well. The mix of history and esoterics and metaphysics, and I've loved the path so far.
What do you say to folks who seem very skeptical about this?
Everything I do on a daily basis to heal and protect myself is something I made fun of for years. And energy work is much better experienced than it is explained. So I can give people a 15-minute taste of experience of something. I have a remote healing there's a few things I can do that are remote. There's remote healing that is, most people are familiar with Reiki, or at least have heard of it at this point, but that's energy work. And why the life activation and so many of the best tools we have must be done in person is to get it fine-tuned so you can be surgical energy work, not just, I'm flooding with good vibes, and oh yeah, I feel it, but it'll go kind of where it wants to, or where's it going to just leak out of you, or whatever. So the in-person healings let us be just so strategic and surgical in placing energy to the places that will get the best out of you. I always invite people, if you're open to trying something, let's try it. But if you're just so closed, do you want to be right or be happy?
No, that's a good point. As a practitioner, do you feel like there's times you need to be recharged, so to speak?
So all healing is self-healing. So I'm just kind of there for the ride and directing things. But every healing I do brings more healing to me. Like I feel great. I have had that thought, and I got someone, I'm so not into this. And then I start, this is the best day ever. Like it rejuvenates me. It's not like there's not some special care I need to do for myself because I help other people. It's just, it's all in sync. If sometimes healing energy will truly come through me and I feel it too. Sometimes I'm directing it. So I can be the straw or the director. I can be the spoon that stirs the drink. All these various metaphors. There's just a sense of joy in being of service.
Well, it sounds like once you've found it, it's with you, right?
Yeah, but I've also stopped twice. So so I'll go really deep, and then I have doubts. I'm like, is not if it doesn't work, but am I supposed to bring this? Am I supposed to present this? Because I was not raised with any sort of religion. One of the first people that tried to get me, born again Christians, they would talk to me like, do you have a personal relationship with Jesus? I'm like, no. Well, who's he? What's up? And they'd have me recite the little thing, and then suddenly we're getting phone calls and emails. I'm like, I didn't realize I joined your club by saying whatever you asked me say in that parking lot. So you did it. Yeah. I took multiple world religion classes, and I studied the Quran and took classes on Islam to understand everything. and I kept seeing more commonalities than differences. And it was much more like the structure and the rules are what screwed it up. But you go back to the source, and the source helps everybody. So what I find in Mystery School is that it's taken us back to source. So many things just feel true, and I don't need to logically explain every step. I find that science, and especially quantum physics, keeps catching up to spirituality as opposed to the opposite.
Is your wife a practitioner as well?
She actually is. She's not active in it at this moment. Right now she has a job working in the prison system, so it's really tough to try to bring anything new into that environment, but also bring something that's like really of the light. And you can't just.
Gotcha. Well, the final question that we ask every guest on this show is, who is your favorite final person, survivor, in a horror flick?
Oh, man.
It's hard. Always difficult.
Yeah. It's not, it's a series more, but and he didn't, well, I guess he is alive. Yeah. Rick in The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Always pulled for him, always connect to him, always loved that character. Going through the emotional ringer ups and downs. So that's easier. That's an easy pick for me. I've always, that's been one of my favorite shows since it came on.
That's a good one.
I love movies with a down ending. That's why I love the Smile franchise, because they don't make it. If you kill your hero, I'm like, this is my kind of movie. Let's go.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with a third movie, with that ending. I don't want to spoil it for people that haven't seen it because it is relatively new, but it's, whoa, okay.
And I looked up that director. What else has he got? What am I missing? And this is all he's done. So I'm like, all right, is he going to have something else or just make this universe bigger? Yeah.
I love when a sequel ups the ante. I mean, I really thought the sequel was better than the first.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I loved the original, and that's why I can't believe how up-leveled on every aspect that sequel was. And again, I thought I was pushing for that to get it. So I'm in SAG, and sometimes I'm on committees to nominate things to be nominated. And I really thought Smile 2, I thought that lead should get an award. I thought that was an overall much better film than The Substance, which has gotten awards talk. So it's very interesting.
What's kind of making us want to revisit to The Walking Dead again. It's been a little while. Sometimes we'll go back and rewatch and stuff. And what's the spinoff one? The first spinoff one that we started?
Fear the Walking
Dead. Yeah, I never finished that. I've watched the original series, probably the first seven seasons 5 times.
Yeah.
And because I would, when nothing going on, when they would binge that, even before binging on streaming AMC would just throw a weekend of it. I'm like, I get sucked in every time. And and the most recent spinoff with Rick and Michonne, I thought that was the best one so far.
Oh,
I have not watched that one yet.
Because just 6 episodes, bang. And the one with Negan and Maggie, that was shot in Massachusetts. The second season was shot here, faking New York City.
Are Negan and Maggie a couple in that series?
They're frenemies at best.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Very, very cool. Well, awesome. We really appreciate you coming on and being so open. It's the reason we do this is to get the message out there to people that horror is not just, we're not all maniacs and stuff. Like, we're good people. It's just find what makes us feel good and embrace it.
Too many people sit on trapped emotions. So if screaming and jumping is I jump easy. I'm embarrassed in the theater if it's too crowded. Like, I'm the little girl jumping all around and screaming, but it's fun. I love it.
Yeah, I've always loved that aspect of watching a film.
Yeah,
and I always surrounded myself as a teenager with my friends who also didn't mind that, because especially as a teenager, you feel kind of silly sometimes. Hey, that's what the reason we were watching it was to get a little adrenaline going.
Right. Yeah. I love to go for the ride. I'm not one of the people that let's watch this and not be scared. I refuse to buy it. No, go for the ride, man.
Yeah. What's the point? You can buy popcorn someplace else.
Right. Exactly.
And cheaper.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining us. This has been fun.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
So here's what we learned today. Zombies can be healers. Light activation might make the world look like Vegas. And Smile 2 deserved way more awards attention.
Also, Hereditary is still terrifying. The Walking Dead might be worth a rewatch, and if your final person is Rick Grimes, you've been through some things.
Indy reminded us that horror doesn't just scare you, it shakes something loose. Whether it's grief, trauma, or just that lingering existential dread, horror gives us space to scream, laugh, cry, and maybe even heal.
We are so grateful to Andy for sharing his story, the dark parts, the light parts, and everything in between. And let's be honest, any guest who can drop the phrase cheerleaders versus redneck zombies and then follow it up with King Solomon's mystery school lineage, that's a 5-star Horror Heals episode.
If you're curious about the modern mystery school, energy healing, or what it's like to giggle uncontrollably after a life activation, Andy's your guy.
And if you're wondering whether horror really can help with mental wellness, well,
Of course it does.
we're never letting go of that tagline.
The Horror Heals podcast is produced and presented by How the Cow Ate the Cabbage, LLC.